Don don de don don de don don de don 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 de don don de don don de don. Calling all sisters and brothers of love, calling all nations and angels above. Calling all sisters and brothers of love, calling all nations and angels above. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah, oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah, oh, oh, oh. Let us rise, 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 like a phoenix from the fire, and we will fly, 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 higher and higher and higher, and we will stand, 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 in solidarity for this sacred land, and we will lead, 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 with compassion for all humanity. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah, oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah, oh, oh, oh. And we will pray, 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 for love to show the blessed way. And we will hear, 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 the truth that leads us out of fear. And we will really choose to see those we perceive to be our enemy. And we will be set free with the light that shines in you and me. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah, oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah, oh, oh, oh. And we will choose to heal the pain we feel, and we will rise above, 'cause we are warriors of love. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah, oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah, oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah, oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah, oh, oh, oh.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Reverend Deborah Johnson, and welcome to Inner Light Ministries Sunday Gathering. A special thanks to Heather Houston for opening us up with a beautiful, beautiful original rendition. And here we are, believe it or not, it is spring, this gorgeous, gorgeous spring equinox weekend. Wow, how time flies. Just breathe that in. This season of renewal, the season of growth, the season of transformation. It's always amazing to me, the seasons and how they just roll from one to the other with no prompting from us. You can count on it. You can take it to the bank, just as the dawn always follows the darkest night. So the spring always follows the winter time. So regardless of where it is that you are on the planet, regardless of whatever it is that you may be doing at this moment, we say welcome to you. Thank you for letting us into your homes, into wherever it is that is your time, your time. We know that you could be anywhere and that you're spending this time with us here at Inner Light. At Inner Light, we have this vision. We've got this notion that in spite of everything that's going on out there in the world, that we are not our stuff. Can you imagine that? You are not your relationships. You're not your jobs. You are not the politics. You're not any of that. You're not your bank account. Who you are is bigger and greater than all of that. We come here to awaken to the truth of our humanity so that we can unleash that spiritual power within us, showing up with our divine potential and using that potential towards creating the beloved community, a world in which we can all prosper, a world in which we can all thrive, and where the planet can be sustainable and the wonderful, wonderful place that it was designed to be. We know that it's possible, and we will not allow anything. We will not allow the social conditions. We will not allow COVID-19. We won't allow anything that's going on in the economy to blind us to this fact that life is good all the time. Just breathe that in, that life itself is good all of the time. There are people who are in a Zoom virtual watch party right at this very minute. We've created the equivalent of like a virtual sanctuary so that they are watching this message in community. And feel free. You can join them now if you'd like to, or join them at the end of my message. Still be rolling right along. And we also will have wonderful musical inspiration. Amy Steinberg will be joining us and sharing a lot of her wonderful music, chance for us to sing and to chat with one another. There are breakout rooms where you have a chance to be with just a few people at a time to discuss the things that we're talking about now, or perhaps share something that you're grateful for, opportunities to learn about things that are going on in the ministry that you might want to be involved in. Just a really good fellowship time. So we invite you to do that. And to also let you know that at any given time as well, there's always an opportunity to give. There's always an opportunity to make a donation, a contribution. The information is right there on your screen. So at any given point in time, feel free to do that. We have a monthly theme every month. And this March 2020, our monthly theme is abundance. Abundance. And our topic for this week is showing up fully. Showing up fully. I invite you to join me in our affirmative activations. These are those concepts and those ideas that when we speak them into existence, something recalibrates within us so that we move into alignment with it and become a place and space in the universe through which that divine idea can manifest itself. So I invite you to follow along with me on your screen. Showing up fully. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. I have the courage to take the first step. Even when the way does not seem clear. We accomplish great tasks by doing mundane tasks greatly. There's no large or small in the eyes of the divine. I show up fully for whatever is mine to do. I encourage myself to act on what I am divinely shown. I don't need to see the entire picture before saying yes. I have the stamina to stay the course and not retreat from difficulties. I expand into my greater yet to be. Let's just breathe that in for a moment. Showing up fully as we talk about abundance. See, the universe, the divine, the great I am, God, whatever, however you conceive this intelligence that governs the universe, however you conceive it to be, it shows up fully. Always. It is the fullness of itself all the time, wherever it is. It can't divide itself up. It can't retract. It can't withdraw. It can't ignore. It can't hide. It can't run away. It can't pretend like it isn't all that it actually is. It shows up fully wherever it is, fully as it is. Just soak that in for a moment. That whatever we think of as the divine, all of the spiritual qualities, love, joy, peace, abundance, creativity, courage, discernment, wisdom, all of these things that the divine is, it is being this all the time. All the time. There's not more of it in one place than there is another place. There's not more joy in China than there is in Cuba. It's not happening. There's not more love in Japan than there is in the United States. There's not more creativity happening in Brazil than is happening in Belgium. It is the fullness of everything that it is, wherever it is. And that means right where you are. Right where you are. We get to thinking sometimes that like there's something missing. That somehow or another, the divine forgot to shine over here. Or that somehow it's withholding itself from us. And we're trying to figure out, well, what is it that I need to do to deserve? What is it that I need to do to coax some of that good stuff to come over my way? It's always there. Now, as human beings, we can create a lot of drama. We can create a lot of circumstances and conditions that camouflage it. We can make it difficult for people to actually feel at a visceral level or to really experience the spiritual power that they have. They can't take it away. Our charge is to have the courage, even in the midst. Even in the midst, to claim it fully. Whatever we think the divine to be, that's what we are. What we're looking for, we're looking with. We are the love, we are the courage, we are the power. That's what we are. And if we want to experience more of it in our outer world of effects, we have to identify with it more as the truth of our being. If we want to see more of it manifesting in our life in the outer, we have to claim that's who we are in the inner. I'm not going to manifest some wonderful, loving relationship if my inner talk is I'm not lovable. I'm not going to have these wonderful creative collaborations that I'm just praying for and affirming, if my inner talk to myself is that I'm alone, that it's a hostile universe, I can't trust anybody, there's nobody out there that I can really work with or be with. It doesn't matter how much I pray for collaborative relationships, if that's my inner talk. We have to shift something within ourselves. We have to show up fully with all of us. Too often we compartmentalize. I used to be the queen of that, the queen of compartmentalization. And sometimes, like, never the two shall meet. And I used to really believe that. I used to believe I had a personal life and a professional life and a spiritual life and a political life and all these different kind of lives. And you get bits and pieces of me depending upon what life I was in, mainly on how safe I felt, how seen I felt, how hostile I thought that environment might be. So I just show just enough of myself to satisfy this group and then shut that down and hide that and show this other group, this other thing, over here. And that's really easy to get into when you're living a life in a closet and you're having to shut down so that you don't let people see your love and how you love, not showing people what makes you joyful and what makes you happy, lest you get their judgment or their condemnation. All of us have our own games for whatever reasons that we play about why it is that we're not showing up fully. It could be something like, well, I'm just tired. The infamous, well, I gave at the office. I don't have that much when I come home. You know what? You take you with you wherever you go. You take all of you with you wherever you go. We can't do things in the particular. You can't just shut down in the particular. You can't just say, well, I'm not going to shine over here, but I'm going to really shine over there. You can't just love in the particular. You can't be really open and a channel of love and then shut down and be hateful over here. That's not how it works. You can't be open to abundance here and then shut down over there. If you really want to experience the abundance of life, if that's what you really want to do, then you got to show up fully. And I want to encourage you, more than just show up fully, show up with your best. Your best. Once again, we play protective. I don't really want people to know, my hopes or my dreams because they might laugh at them. I don't really want people to know my secret desires of this career that I want to have, or this hobby that I want to expound upon, this hidden talent that I want to discover. He said, no. I can't do that because that's not practical, or that's not reasonable. When nobody in our family plays, musical instruments, or, I'm too old, or I'm too young, or I'm too this, or I'm too that. There's all these reasons that we come up with. Bring your A game. Bring your A game. Make excellence your calling card wherever it is that you are. And I promise you, if you show up with your A game, if you're not withholding, it will feel less and less to you like life is withholding. Even when life is hard, it won't feel like it's withholding. Let's just say I'm a basketball player and I'm down in the fourth quarter, not looking really good. It's the playoffs. And I'm looking at the clock, and that clock is ticking down. Let's just say we're 15 points behind or something like that. I have a decision I can make in that moment. I can look at all the appearances and I can say, there's no way. There's no way I'm going to make it, or that our team is going to win. Or I can pull out the stops. I can pull out the stops and really, really go for it. And I guarantee you, even if I still lose the game anyway, that at the end of the game, in the locker room, or when I go home, I will have enjoyed the game more because I was playing fully. Still down, so to speak, still, quote unquote, losing. But that's different than feeling defeated internally. If you show up, you give it your best, you can hold your head up high. You give it your best. You are in the position to be able to keep moving forward, where you're not distracted, where you're not worried about what everybody else is thinking, where you're not trying to prove something to somebody else, because you know in your heart you're enough. And when you know you're enough, you know that there is absolutely nothing to prove and no one to prove it to. Nothing to prove and no one to prove it to. You don't have to make excuses for your existence. You don't have to give any reason why it's okay for you to be fully you. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. It doesn't matter what you've accomplished or what you haven't accomplished or what everybody else has done or it hasn't done. You're still you. You're still you. And life still wants to be all of itself as you. It doesn't matter. The addictions, the divorces, the abuses, the whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You just keep showing up. You keep showing up fully, and you will be able to experience that fullness of life because you're there. You get to decide whether you show up at the river of life with a little bitty thimble or with a bucket. You get to say how open your heart is going to be. You get to say how much love is going to pour through you. You get to say that. Isn't that amazing? That nobody anywhere can cut that off from you. Sometimes we say something like, well, I gave up my power to this person or that person. No, you didn't. You can't give up your power. Now, there might have been people who were exercising their power all over you, You might have felt arrested. You might have felt stymied and stifled. But nobody has your power. Nobody can take your love away from you. You can give love. Perhaps they return it or they don't return it. But nobody can take your love from you. It's your love. Nobody can take your goodness from you, your creativity from you. No matter how dastardly the situation may be. You can be in prisons, you can be in concentration camps, you can be wherever it is, but you control what's going on in your mind. You control the narrative. Show up fully in your mind. When you stick with the narrative that I am part of the great I am, you can rise above the things that are going on and still experience the beauty and the abundance in life. I remember as a kid seeing the movie The Birdman of Alcatraz. Burt Lancaster was playing this inmate in Alcatraz. And I can remember my first trip to a prison. It was in May of 2020. May of 2000, excuse me. It's been over 20 years now. And at the top of the chain link fence and the barbed wire that was curled around like spirals, it made the perfect spot for birds to nest. And they were just filled with these nests where the birds came and they used the barbed wire as thorns. And here the little birds, chirping away, and the little mama birds coming and feeding the little baby birds. And the juxtaposition of that against the prison. And then being able to go inside and to see inmates, to see these guys like still showing up fully. The ones that we were working with, making me realize, why am I shirking down when here are these guys who've been stripped of everything and they still have the courage to show up fully. I remember when I first allowed myself to do the exercise that we often would do just, around the church with my classes. What are you grateful for? And I thought, ooh, Deborah, is that really a question that you want to ask people who are locked up in prison? Like, what are you grateful for? I thought, you know what? We're going to go for it. And you know what? Their answers were lovely. And their answers would have been, are the same answers that I would have gotten from people who were on the outside. I show up fully. I was pulling back some of my joy, afraid that my joy might be offensive in some kind of way. But I show up grateful. I ask them, well, what are they grateful for? And they share their gratitude, and then we're all more grateful at the end. Because we're sharing this abundance of the truth of who we are. That's the invitation to you. The invitation to you is just be you. Pull it all together. Integrate it. Dare to be your fullest self every place that you are. Now there's no distinctions in my life. Political, personal, professional, spiritual. I show up as me, integrated wherever it is that I am. A Fortune 500 CEO, treat him no different than somebody who's in the prison. And you know what? my life feels more abundant now. I invite you into that journey. And speaking of abundance, I invite you to share some of that abundance. That part of the way that we experience the abundance is the showing up fully, is letting whatever it is that we have flow through us. You're going to see some information on your screen where you're able to make a contribution through texting. You can go to paypal.me/InnerLightMinistries. You can do Amazon Smiles and put Inner Light Ministries in as your charitable organization. There are many different ways in which you can give, where you can make a contribution. And we say thank you to all of those who are sending in your gifts, sending in your tithes, sending in your donations, by empowering this ministry to continue to spread a word of oneness, of healing, of transformation. There's so much that we are doing and so much more that yet can be done. And we thank you for partnering with us in that. Once again, we have people in a Zoom virtual watch party, and we're going to go over to them. Right now, Amy Steinberg is going to be blessing us with her musical talent and helping us to get I like to call it, get my inspiration on. And you'll have a chance to talk to each other in chat groups and learn about more ways that you can participate in Inner Light Ministries. Take a breath, show up fully. And as we always say, take this consciousness and multiply it.